What's up YouTubers, Aldo SJ McLaren back with a brand new video for yous here, and sorry I've been away for about maybe a month now, but I just kind of ran out of ideas and I just needed a recharge and a refocus, but I'm back now and let's do what we're here to do, and that's make some videos. So what this video is actually going to be about is this is actually a tribute to someone very, very special to me, somebody who actually got me involved or interested in professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And it's sort of like an add-on from my wrestling bio video, description down below if you guys want to check that one out. If you cannot tell what this video is about, it is about the Macho Man Randy Savage. As I said in my wrestling bio, it was because of Randy Savage that one of the reasons of Randy Savage that got me interested in professional wrestling, sports entertainment. Randy Savage was brought into this world on the 15th of the 11th, 1952, and he was the son of a legendary wrestler in his own right, Angelo Poffo. Anybody that knows of Angelo Poffo knows that he was kind of the Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan, and what I mean by that is his ring attire was very bright and colourful. Everybody knows that Hulk Hogan in the early stages of his WWE career, he wore, when Hulkamania took off, he wore the yellow trunks, yellow tights, and Randy Savage's father, Angelo Poffo, started that trend. He was a canary yellow wearing professional wrestler. And fun fact, I'm going to start off with the fun facts right away. Those that do not know, Angelo Poffo actually went down in the Guinness Book of Records for being a Navy soldier who done the most sit-ups at that time when he was in the Navy. He done 6,033. That was the full amount of sit-ups that he done. So he done 6,000 sit-ups. Then because he was a Christian, he done 33 more for the number of years that Jesus Christ was alive. So there you go. There's a fun fact and a half for you guys. A guy actually done 6,000 sit-ups. What a set of abs he must have had on him. That's all I can say. But then he also done 33 more for the life of Jesus Christ. So that's unbelievable. And in all honesty, I probably could find that out who has beaten that record, but that's not important right now. So yeah, getting in. So I didn't actually find out about who Randy Savage was until a little backstory again to being 7 years old, being around with my cousins, watching the wrestling, and it was Wrestlemania 8. The card was going on, and we got to part one of the double main event, and it was for the WWF WWE Championship, which of course is this belt right here, the Winged Eagle Classic. Now, you had Ric Flair walking in as the WWF WWE Champion, and then the number one contender for the match was the Macho Man Randy Savage, and his music started up, and right away that sucked me in. I was glued to that television. Randy Savage came out of the entrance and he bolted down to the ring to face Ric Flair. And then at the end of the match, spoiler alert for any young wrestling fans that have never watched this or watched it, Randy Savage becomes the WWF WWE champion for a second time at then. So that was pretty awesome for me to watch. And like I've said in previous videos, the thing that hooked me right there wasn't just obviously the music from Randy Savage or his entrance. When Howard Finkel, Hall of Famer announcer for the WWF, WWE, when he announced Randy Savage in this way, once again, new World Wrestling Federation champion Macho Man Randy Savage, the whole place erupted and I erupted with them. I was so overjoyed. But that wasn't the first title that Randy Savage had, obviously, so we will put this down just now. I was just letting you know how I got sucked into Randy Savage. Randy Savage, strangely enough, did not start off training being a professional wrestler. Randy Savage actually started off being an inspiring baseball player, even to the point where he was going to be signed up by the major leagues. But unfortunately, things didn't work out as it was planned. And this is quite a famous Randy Savage story, where when Randy Savage was cut from baseball, he had three or four bats, I believe, a bag of bats. That's how baseball play. If you're a batter, you have a bag of bats. You'll know what I'm talking about. So he took all of his bats and went to a big, massive tree and just smashed every one of his bats. And that was Randy Savage sort of saying, baseball is done with me and I'm done with baseball. So then he managed to convince his father to actually train him as a professional wrestler, and he debuted in 1973, and over the years he was sort of finding himself. He was coming up with a couple of things gimmick wise, but there was nothing really sticking. And it was actually speaking to his brother, Leaping Lenny Poffo, who was also a professional wrestler. He said they were talking about what could Randy do to be different from everybody else that was going on at the time. Excuse me. And for some reason, an epiphany came to Randy and his brother, where Randy sort of molded two wrestlers who were around at that time together, and Randy started talking like this. This is where the voice started becoming very Randy Savage to what we knew. Okay, that's a little taster of how all that started. And yes, I can do a very good Randy Savage impression. Thank you very much. And when you're going around all the territories back then, Randy Savage was going from Canada to America, Mexico, Japan, and obviously that caught the eye of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He wanted Randy Savage on the World Wrestling Federation bandwagon with him, and in 1985 Randy Savage debuted, and a few months later, I want to say about maybe 4 or 5 months in of debuting, I'll put all the description up in this video, so you guys know when he actually did win it. But he did beat a future Hall of Famer, the current Intercontinental Champion at the time. He beat Tito Santana for a version of this, of the IC Classic. Yes, this is the Ultimate Warrior version, and it is an E version. However, all wrestling fans, when they see this classic design of a championship, a lot of people instantly think of the legendary match that Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had at WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental Championship. And this still goes down in history as not only being one of the greatest Intercontinental Championships matches of all time, but also one of the greatest, now not WrestleMania, one of the greatest professional wrestling matches in history. WrestleMania 3, 1987, and now is 2021. It still goes down as one of the greatest wrestling matches in history, period. Not many people can still hold that title. Not only was having this Intercontinental Championship on the line just the icing on the cake, but, you know, it was the greatest match ever. I'm not going to stress that anymore because I'll stretch it out. But just when people who were his peers, when they talk about Randy Savage, the reason why WrestleMania 3 was such a success is because Randy sculpted and planned out the match so perfectly. I mean, Ricky Steamboat has even went down on history and saying Randy said, "Oh, we should do A, B, and C," and Steamboat was like, "Yeah, we could do that, and then we could do this and this and this." And the old saying of your professional wrestler is to have a good dance partner. And Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat were great dance partners for each other. And like I say, this championship being on the line was the icing on the cake. Now, during all this time, though, Randy Savage was in the WWE as one of the great heels at the time, okay? But something was happening with Hulk Hogan wanting to expand his way of in sports entertainment and in Hollywood, sort of a pre-Rock. And Vince McMahon decided that maybe Randy Savage could turn face, and turn face he did. Towards the end of 1987, Randy Savage was becoming, I believe, possibly the number 2 or number 3 face of the WWE, number 3 good guy. So much so, come WrestleMania 4, or prior to WrestleMania 4, the Mega Powers, okay, this would be better. The Mega Powers combined it. So, Hulkamania combined it with the madness of the Macho Man Randy Savage. And going into WrestleMania 4, anybody that knows anything about WrestleMania 4 in 1988, there was a tournament. And the tournament was for this. For at the time, the brand new Winged Eagle WWF WWE Championship. And long story short, Randy, because I know this will go on for a bit, long story short, Randy Savage beat 4 other wrestlers that night. He beat Greg the Hammer Valentine, he beat the One Man Gang, he beat the Natural Butch Reed. I'm not sure which order that was. I do, but I don't. If that makes sense, I would have to go back and watch WrestleMania 4 just to make sure. But I do remember the final. because being a Randy Savage fan, I have obviously went back and watched old school footage of Randy. So the final match was between Randy Savage and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and again, another long story short, Randy Savage won the tournament, won the championship, and Randy Savage was the WWF WWE champion for the very first time at that time. He would go on to win it again, like I said at the start of the video, at WrestleMania 8, and what a great champion he was. When Randy Savage was a face, he was a wonderful champion. But somehow leading up to WrestleMania 5, he sort of turned again to being a heel, and strangely enough, he was actually a great heel WWF champion as well. So that was crazy. That was a crazy time as well. Because during this time when Randy Savage became a heel at WrestleMania 5, he didn't only lose the championship to Hulk Hogan, but sort of metamorphosis, big word for me, a metamorphosis was happening with Randy Savage, where he was turning more regal, more prestige, more heelish, and he beat Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was the king of the WWF WWE at the time. The previous year, Randy Savage did win an inaugural, an old school King of the Ring tournament, and that was before the King of the Ring was a pay-per-view, by the way, guys, in case you were wondering. He did win that, and 2 years later, he became the king of the WWF, WWE, but Randy's, and his full name went to being the Macho King Randy Savage. So a total metamorphosis, but his ring attire from starting in the WWF, WWE, started off in trunks with stars on the front, his logo on the back, and then as time went on, his outfit also evolved with his turns as well. Not only the trunks, but he had Ric Flair style robes, only a little bit better. Yes, I will put that out there. Randy Savage's robes were a lot better than Ric Flair's, so to Ric Flair fans. Yeah, I'm not a Ric Flair guy. Deal with it. Others have, okay? And when he went into being the Macho King Randy Savage, he not only got an updated robe, sunglasses, and even a macho crown. I will put up pictures of that, and so you guys can see what he wore. It was unbelievable. He fully embraced that heel king. He was actually a better king than Jerry the King Lawler, if that makes sense, when it came to being a heel king. But like I say, he morphed his outfits to the point where he still had the crown, but he was having more of his flamingo outfits. And it was the flamingo outfits that sort of made him more brighter, more, like I say, flamboyant, more Randy Savage. That's the Randy Savage that I saw on television. That's the Randy Savage that I became a professional wrestling fan for. And going in, leaving the 80s and going into the early 90s as the Macho King, and then at WrestleMania 7, when he lost a retirement match to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7. Sorry if I repeat myself there. So he had that retirement match. The Macho Man sort of revived himself, and long story short, he got reinstated, and Randy Savage rode again, more flamboyant than ever. He had his wife at the time, Elizabeth, under his arm, and he became the WWF WWE champion again for the second time, like I've mentioned, and just kept going more and more. Unfortunately, in the latter half of '92, start of '93, Vince McMahon sort of thought Randy Savage was better suited with being a colour commentator for him, being a tag partner on WWF WWE Superstars. That eventually transitioned where Vince McMahon and Randy Savage were the first voices of Monday Night Raw in January of '93. But Randy Savage sort of became sort of like a part-time wrestler. He was only there for special events, special feuds. Anybody that remembers his feud that he had with Bryan Adams, Crush, which led up to a bad match at WrestleMania 10. In fact, Randy Savage's last WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 10 in 1994. Randy Savage, unfortunately, did leave the WWF WWE in '94, early winter of '94. SummerSlam '94 was the last time that WWF WWE fans properly would see Randy Savage. Unfortunately, he was the host of SummerSlam. He was not wrestling in it. But if you were a Randy Savage fan at the time, you went anywhere with Randy Savage. Me, unfortunately, at the time, I did not have Sky or cable. I had to follow Randy Savage, whether I was going around with my cousins to watch the wrestling, or pick up magazines where I could, where Randy Savage had entered WCW to tag along with Hulk Hogan. The Mega Powers rose again in WCW, and during all that time, Randy Savage still going with his flamboyant outfits. He actually became more physically built in WCW as well, because Randy Savage, during a time in the WWF WWE, he wore t-shirt / he wore flamboyant shirt / pants, and then going into WCW, he wanted to show his body again, so he really worked at it, and during that time in WCW, he was himself. He was part of the New World Order. He revived himself again after an injury, where he became the Macho Man. And I don't mean just like flamboyant wise, I mean he was a straight cut Macho Man, and a great heel at that. And during his time in WCW as well, thankfully he did become a champion again. He managed to become the World Heavyweight Champion of WCW. Yes, this is the E version, but it still counts. It's still a big gold. Still represents MD that's been a big gold champion, whether it was NWA, WCW, WWF, and WWE. So Randy Savage did win this 4 times in WCW. Unfortunately, they were not long reigns. Unfortunately, he had longer reigns as the WWF champion than he did the WCW champion, and a certain red and yellow person sort of saw to that. But Randy Savage was a businessman. He went with business. He did business, where he actually lost his championship back to Hulk Hogan twice. But as time went on, Randy Savage showed that he really didn't need a championship. He sort of became, at the time, what The Undertaker eventually became. Now, what I mean by that is, after The Undertaker won his 7th World Championship, The Undertaker sort of went that way, okay? Now, the way it works in pro wrestling, guys, anybody that doesn't know this, it's happened for the Road Warriors, it's happened for many special professional wrestlers, okay? You go in the level system, and the highest point that you can go in professional wrestling, whether you're a singles guy or a tag team, is the World Championships. So whether it's the World Championship of that organization or the World Tag Team Championships, that is as high as you are going to go, okay? Where you have people like Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, I'll even put Ric Flair in this category as well. I'll even put Shawn Michaels and Triple H in this category too, for fairness. Maybe even Bret Hart, maybe even Stone Cold Steve Austin, but definitely Randy Savage and The Undertaker fit this, okay? Where they went above and beyond the World Championships, where they did not need the World Championships anymore, okay? They became their own, they went beyond that, went totally beyond that. And very few wrestlers get to that stage in life. I mean, I'll put my hand up. I am an Undertaker fan, but no disrespect to The Undertaker, but Randy Savage got there first. So it's they're cut from the same cloth, but they're not. If that makes sense, I think that's probably a better way of putting it across when it comes to Randy Savage and sort of comparing him with The Undertaker. I mean, I will get a lot of people comment below saying that there is no comparison when it comes to The Undertaker, but hey, I've been a wrestling fan since I was 7 years old. I'm now 36. Believe me, there is comparison, okay? Because, like I keep saying, and I'll say this I'm blue in the face, I am not a Ric Flair guy. I'm not saying I've met Ric Flair. Gentleman, I've talked to him. I even asked him the question of, in the 10-year difference, when he faced Randy Savage at WrestleMania 8 in 92, and then he faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania 18 in 2002, who was his better opponent, he right away said The Undertaker. Maybe storyline it was, but see, when it came to wrestling, it was, in my opinion, the better opponent was actually Randy Savage. But that's just my opinion. And plus, Randy Savage's was for this. So getting back to the matter at hand, Randy Savage finished up with WCW after 2000, and he entered a little thing with TNA in 2004, but Randy Savage was very un-Randy Savage. He was all black and then black again was his attire. He just looked really old, and I'm not being ageist or anything like that, but he did, and I think Randy knew that. Randy knew that it was time to stop being a pro wrestler and maybe just being an entertainer, even more so. I mean, everybody remembers what he did for Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2. If Randy Savage was willing to go down for the upcoming Spider-Man, that's pretty cool. And I hope Tobey Maguire remembers Randy Savage for that, because me being a Randy Savage fan, I definitely remember that. So Randy Savage, now we've went from 2004 upwards when he was in TNA and then beyond. During all that time, when the Hall of Fame, the WWF WWE Hall of Fame, was starting to become more of a single event for itself, the night before WrestleMania, Randy Savage unfortunately was not inducted into the Hall of Fame alive. Randy Savage unfortunately had a car accident on the 20th of the 5th, 2011. Sorry if I get emotional here, because it's when you're a pro wrestling fan like I am, it really it felt like somebody had slit my throat when getting told that Randy had died. I mean, I had never met the guy. It was always on the bucket list to one day meet Randy Savage, and wow, I didn't think I would get emotional like this. Yeah, unfortunately, Randy Savage is one of these. Excuse me, I'm gonna do something I don't normally do. I'm gonna do something that Randy Savage did, but not changing glasses. So, and yes, I'm leaving this in. This was a very Randy Savage thing to do, was change glasses. So yeah, it felt like somebody had slit my throat. That's how much of a wrestling fan I am. And to know that I was never going to be able to meet one of my idols, it was a shame. More all respect to MD that ever got the chance to meet Randy Savage before that time. I mean, I could go deeper into it, but I won't. Let's just say we lost Randy Savage then, and ever since then, 10 years ago now, in fact, I have always done Randy Savage impressions. I have Randy Savage merchandise. And here's fun facts about myself. In case MD has ever wondered why I wear sunglasses as part of my gimmick, which is what this is, guys. It's a gimmick, and it's also a confidence thing as well. MD that knows anything about Bret Hart knows that he did this for a long time as well, was wear sunglasses for a confidence thing, and so did Randy Savage. It was actually Randy Savage and Jim the Anvil Neidhart that talked the Hitman into wearing the glasses. So this is purely a confidence thing, and it is purely because of the Macho Man Randy Savage that I wear the sunglasses when I'm doing this. Whether it's talking to you, ranting to you guys here on YouTube, or whether I'm doing podcasts or film reviews with my good buddy Ryan Martin, PT. This is my thing, and it is because of Randy Savage that I do it. So, sorry, I'm repeating myself again. I do apologize, guys. So yeah, try not to get emotional, but unfortunately it happened. But what can you do, right? So I'm gonna leave it here, guys, and just say this has been my tribute to the Macho Man Randy Savage, Randy Powerful. I am celebrating his life. I am not mourning it. I mean, yes, I've cried a little bit here, but that's just because I'm talking about one of my idols that was very near and dear to my heart. Still is to this day. And I am a professional wrestling fan, a loud and proud professional wrestling fan, because of this guy. So thank you, Randy, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for making me a professional wrestling fan. That's all I would ever want to say to you. If fates have it and we both meet each other in heaven, I will say thank you to you. So I'm gonna go, guys, before I start up again. Keep an eye out for other stuff that I'm gonna go with. I'm still working on the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai franchise, so please keep an eye out for that. And I am going to get a long overdue review done and out of the way very soon as well. So, in the words of the Macho Man Randy Savage, guys. You stay safe, you stay awesome, and good journey. Ooh, yeah!
What up, Mach?
Oh, yeah!